Evolution is a religion based upon faith and assumptions that have nothing to do with science. Also, many of the lies that they use to support their theory have been disproven or shown to be fabricated or fraudulent. But they not only continue to teach these things that were disproved years ago, but these lies are still in the textbooks today, destroying the faith of millions of young Christians. Evolution is nothing but a religion based upon assumptions and not scientific facts. Evolution is a religious faith-based worldview. The reason why most of you probably believe in the theory of evolution is because since the age of 5 up until however old you are now, you've been constantly bombarded with this theory and indoctrinated. You have not heard or even seen any of the evidences that go against their theory, because whatever does not fit their theory of evolution is simply ignored and brushed underneath the carpet. You won't see it on TV, you won't read it in the textbooks, and you certainly won't hear it in schools. If a woman accuses a man of rape, is it not logical to see what the man has to say before he is sent to prison? Of course it is, for a number of reasons. For example, say we're in the court of law and both sides of the story, have been presented before the jury. Would this be enough for the jury to come to a decision whether the man accused of rape is guilty or not? Of course not. Why? Because these opinions in themselves are not sufficient enough for the man accused of rape to be convicted and sent to prison. No, the jury first needs to evaluate all the evidence put forward by both parties, including testimonials, before they arrive at a decision. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that there is no evidence that supports the theory of evolution, and 100% of their claims are not based upon science, things we can observe, test and demonstrate. No, it's based upon faith. Now you may say, well, fair enough, that's your opinion. I agree, this is my opinion, yes. But still, this would not be sufficient, as we saw in the court case of the man accused of rape. The conviction must be based upon the various pieces of evidence presented from not only the man accused of rape, but also the woman accusing the man of rape. For example, unlike you, I have sat in the courtroom and listened very carefully to all the evidence presented by both creationists and evolutionists, and I have arrived at the conclusion that not only did evolution not take place, but also there has been no evidence put forward by evolutionists that suggest evolution did take place. I'll show you. Let's go back to the courtroom where the man is being accused of rape. We'll call the woman accusing the man of rape Amy, and we'll call the man Luke. Let's say that Amy and Luke were having a bit of a tiff, and Luke decides to go abroad for a weekend with his friends. Let's say Amy and Luke... say he goes on holiday with his friends for a weekend without Amy knowing, without Amy being aware. Yeah, so let's say during this weekend at some point, Amy and Luke have a few massive arguments over the phone, due to whatever reasons. Luke then decides to end his relationship with Amy over the phone. This enrages Amy for whatever reason, and Amy then thinks to herself, you know what, I'm going to accuse him of rape. So, fast forward a couple weeks later, they end up in court. The jury then hears that there was no nut yogurt found at Amy's apartment, semen, etc. However, Amy had beaten her face in a little bit to make it look like Luke had violently raped her. Upon further examining of the flat, a few of Luke's hairs are found in Amy's bed, clothes of Luke's and various other pieces of contraband found at Amy's apartment, which proved that he was there at some point. All Luke has to do to prove that he was in Spain with a few of his friends during the night of the alleged rape. He shows pictures with dates upon them, receipts he had kept. He also shows his credit card bank statements showing all the transactions he made during that weekend he was in Spain. He also shows his boarding tickets, which has his name on them, outbound and return. In a court of law, this would be plenty of evidence to prove that Luke was innocent. But if you think that's not enough, Luke also gets the police to attain Amy's call log from her networker. And what a surprise, it also shows that she received a call from Spain prior to her calling the police and reporting that she had just been raped. Pow! If you was Luke going into this courtroom with this type of evidence, would you be worried? Of course not. Why? Because you know that you are innocent. Yeah, that would be your opinion, but it's based upon not only substantial evidence, but empirical evidence. Anyway, It all becomes perfectly clear to the jury that Luke was not even in England during the night of the alleged rape, and therefore couldn't have possibly have raped Amy. And that Amy seems to be rather crazy and psychotic, who was so heartbroken over Luke ending his relationship with her, she wanted to get revenge. There are some women out there like that, you know. Have you seen the film Misery? That's Amy. Anyway, yeah, the hairs found in Amy's bed have a perfectly reasonable explanation to them. That is that they were dating, remember? So these hairs and things of Luke's found around Amy's house were just there from previous visits. The evidence that Luke was not in the country at the time overwhelmingly, empirically proves that Luke did not rape her. It's a no-brainer for the jury. Luke is found innocent and Amy is then charged with false allegation of a forcible sexual assault. All Amy had was some fabricated evidence, lies. She used lies to support her theory. And faith, please believe me, this actually happened. He raped me. No, I'm sorry, darling, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Now, obviously, I made this little story up, but, well, you never know. This exact scenario may be occurring somewhere around the world at this very moment. Who knows? But I think this demonstrates very well that without evidence for your claims, you ain't got a leg to stand on. It's just your word against mine. The evidence against evolution is so overwhelming that I couldn't believe in the theory of evolution even if I wanted to. Each piece of evidence presented by creationists prevents me from doing so. And not only that, even the evidence that evolutionists present prevents me from doing so. Well, they call it evidence, but it's nothing. It's not evidence. It's nothing but assumptions. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Assumptions? Evolution is a fact. You can't say that until you have sat in the courtroom and heard both arguments. I have. Many people I know have not. The evidence against evolution is more compelling than Luke's evidence against Amy. But this is exactly what I'm getting to. When I say evolution is a lie, and it is not fact, it is a religion which has no evidence for their claims, and not only that, the claims are faith-based and have nothing to do with real science. You don't have to take my word for it, do you? You don't have to believe me. I'm sure you can think for yourself, or some of you. Why don't you try listening to Luke's testimony and evaluate the opposing evidence presented by him, not just Amy's evidence? Only then can you consider voicing your opinions upon these issues. Just a couple of hours in the courtroom of evolution vs creation and you will see. Remember Amy? All Amy had was some fabricated evidence, lies. She used lies to support her theory, and faith. Please believe me, this actually happened, he raped me. But, like I said, no, I'm sorry, darling, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Evolution does the exact same thing. You're more than welcome to believe that we evolved from a rock 4.6 billion years ago, but you just left science and entered a faith-based religious worldview. You have to believe that we evolved from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. That is not science. In the dictionary, science is defined as knowledge attained through observation or study. Things that we can know because we can see it, we can test it, and we can demonstrate it. Well then, I have a question. Is evolution a part of science? Let's briefly touch upon the 6 kinds of evolution. Yeah, there are actually 6 different kinds of evolution. Evolution isn't just this little happy little thing. It's actually divided up into 6 different sections. First of all, we would have to have cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space and matter, referring to the Big Bang. So, can we test or demonstrate the Big Bang? No, we can't, can we? Now, you're more than welcome to believe that, but you got to understand that is not a part of science. How about the second one? We have to have chemical evolution. According to chemical evolution, all the elements we have today evolved from just hydrogen and helium. Remember the periodic table of elements at school? They want us to believe that all these elements that we have today evolved from just hydrogen and helium. Well, you're welcome to believe that took place, but you can't know that. You can't see it, test it, or demonstrate it. So chemical evolution is not part of science. Welcome to believe in it, but don't call it science. Next, we would have to have stellar and planetary evolution. Do we ever see stars forming? No, we don't. We have never seen this happen. What we do see is stars blowing up. They're called novas and supernovas if it's a really big one. And that happens only one every 30 years. Interestingly enough, we see about 300 novas. Wow. That would not account for billions of years of worth of stellar and planetary activity, would it? You know, there is a lot of stars in space. Scientists have estimated that everybody on planet Earth could own 11 trillion of them. 11 trillion stars. Everyone could own them. Now, you're welcome to believe that star formation is taking place, but you can't know that. It's a belief. It's not part of science. Also, do you realize that scientists today have estimated that there are over 70 sextillion stars in the universe? Whoa. That is a big number. That's 70 followed by 21 zeros. That's a big number. And they want us to believe that all those stars formed in just 20 billion years? Do the math. If 70 sextillion stars formed in just 20 billion years, that would be the same as 3.5 trillion stars forming each year. Or 6.5 million stars forming every single minute. Do we see 6.5 million stars forming every single minute? No. That would have to happen for 20 billion years in our universe to get the exact amount of stars we have today. But we've never seen a star form. Next, we would have to have organic evolution, the origin of life from non-life. Do we see that happening? Have we ever seen anything like that alive? Actually, non-living come alive. And you're like, yeah, my refrigerator. Well, that don't count. I'm talking like a rock actually evolving into life. No, we never seen that. We've never tested it. Well, they've tried to test it and demonstrate it, but science has come up with nothing. You know, that does not belong in science. That is not a part of science. Life coming from non-life is a religious worldview. It's not at all got anything to do with science. It's a religious worldview. They really don't know how life originally evolved and came into being. When did it take place? How did it take place? They really don't have a clue. Next, we would have to have macroevolution. That's one kind of animal changing into another kind of animal. We are always shown these types of diagrams, but do we actually see this taking place? No. There's a variety of dogs in the world today, but these are all varieties of dog. The Chihuahua and the Great Dane are very different, but they are both still dogs. It's possible that the dog, the wolf, and the coyote had a common ancestor, but I guarantee it was a dog. We don't see macroevolution taking place either today or in the fossil record. What we do see is fully formed, fully functional animals that are no different today as they were back then. Now, you're more than welcome to believe that an animal can change into another kind of animal, but that is not science. It is your faith-based belief system, not science. Now, finally, we get to microevolution. Now, this one happens. I object to the term, but this one happens. Microevolution is not evolution. It is a variation within a kind of animal. A variety of dogs can produce a variety of different dogs, can't they? But is that evolution? No, it's not. It's just a variation. Here's a picture of me and my brothers. You can clearly see there is variation, right? Does this prove evolution? Of course not. Does this mean that we are evolving into something other than human? Of course not. This is the only one that is scientific, because remember, science is things we can see, test, and demonstrate. Now, can we see, test, or demonstrate a dog giving birth to a variety of dogs? Yes. The other 5 types of evolution are a religious worldview that has nothing whatsoever to do with science. Yet they seem to think that they can erase the column between the fact and their religious interpretation when it is not fact. There's over 100 lies still in the textbooks today which were disproven and proved to be frauds, and they're still in the textbooks. But yeah, all I'm saying is do your research, investigate, sit in the courtroom, and you will see. analyse Amy's evidence and Luke's evidence.